Hi, I'm Chris from Development. Let's take a look at securing the traffic on our Coronium Core server by using an SSL certificate issued from Let's Encrypt. So the first thing we're going to want to do is go into the documentation for Coronium Core, and there's a section here for HTTPS/SSL, and in here is some instructions on how to set up our server so that we can use HTTPS. Now, the main thing you need to know here is that you need to have a domain name that resolves to your Coronium Core server. And this is outlined here in this information on the documentation. So you'll definitely need to go through and read through that first before we go into the steps that I'm going to show on the video. But once that's all done and you have a domain name resolving to your server, we're going to go to the Let's Encrypt section, and we'll go through the steps here to get a certificate running on our server. So I've already have a domain name that's resolving to my server, and it's core.development.com. So the first thing we need to do when we want to set up the certificates is we need to log into the server as the root user. And generally you don't log in as the root user, but in this case you'll need to. So we're going to SSH, and I'm going to root, and I have a domain now, so I'm going to go ahead and just use that, which is core.development.com. And once I log in, then I'm in the server. And I'm going to jump back over here to our instructions again. And down here there's a one-liner to install the SSL certificate. So I'm going to go ahead and copy that. I'm going to jump back over to my terminal. I'm going to paste that in, and we're going to go ahead and run that. And this should grab the installation package for the SSL. And once that's ready to go, we're going to be prompted to enter our host name. And generally you want to use a third level domain, which is in my case core.development.com. So the host name is going to be the first part of that, which will be core. Then it wants the fully qualified domain name, which is basically the whole domain, so that would be core.development.com. And then you're going to need to enter a valid email, and this is for Let's Encrypt so that they can contact you if there's any issues. So I'm going to go ahead and put mine in there. And once all that information is in place, we're going to triple check it, and then when we're ready to go, we're going to go ahead and type yes. And this will kick off the installation process, ask Let's Encrypt for our certificates, install them into Coronium Core, and update the proper configuration files. It's very important that you have your domain pointing to your server and it works correctly before you do this process, or you will not be able to get your certificates correctly and it will not configure it correctly. Okay, once that process is finished, you'll be serving your data over HTTPS, and as noted here at the end, you'll need to also update your client configuration in your Corona plugin. If you have already created a project and then switched over to HTTPS, you need to make sure you update that in your configuration. We can go ahead and usually, and this isn't mandatory, but I like to reboot the server after I've installed the certificate. So that's a sudo reboot -h and then enter. That's going to go ahead and reboot the server. At this point, we'll give it a couple seconds to reboot, and we'll log back in with our Coronium user, which is your administrative user. Again, I'm using my domain name here that I've created, and we can go ahead and see if we can get back in. Not yet. I'll wait a couple more seconds, and then it's going to prompt us for our password. So whatever password you've added, you can go ahead and put that in there. And let's go ahead and run a Coronium status to make sure that all the server processes are running correctly, and it looks like they are, which is good. So as a test, we can go ahead and check the HTTPS endpoint. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to go over here and we're going to do an HTTPS to my core.development.com. And you can see here that we are secure, so that means that we are serving secure traffic over the HTTPS protocol, and our certificates are all in place. So that is how you secure your Coronium server using HTTPS and an SSL certificate. Thanks for watching.